Hello everybody, welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are going to talk about Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Mia. This is a book that everyone talked about on Reddit / fantasy community. This always came up as a really great queer book, so I was really excited to read it. I haven't really read too much into queer fantasy. I know a lot of the titles because they circulate a lot on Reddit, but I haven't read really any of them. So I was really excited to read this, and I just finished it tonight. I cannot stop reading it. I think my Goodreads will tell you that I read it over a week-long period, but I started it a week ago, and I read it for maybe only 3 days, and each day I read about 100 pages, so this is a really good book overall, so I want to kind of go into specifics. So first of all is the story. The front cover blurb talks about, how this is a story about lesbian necromancers who explore a haunted castle in space. And that's basically what it is about. It is a mystery novel, and our characters have a goal of becoming more powerful so that they can ascend and be a part of the Emperor's army for some purpose that we don't know until the end. And they solve mysteries, they solve puzzles. It's really fun to read about. And now I'm going to talk about some of the characters and what I thought about them. So first is Gideon, the titular character. She is a rebel. She reminds me of Han Solo, where she's just trying to get out of the situation, and eventually she becomes committed to it. She is very sarcastic. She says things that she shouldn't at the most inappropriate times, which makes for a lot of funny and hilarious situations. She is completely butting heads with Harrow, her, I guess, teacher. It's very much, she gets recruited on because she's trying to escape her homeworld in like the first chapter. And it's just like this deathly awful place. And Harrow is the empress, I believe, of the whole planet, of this death planet. And she takes her along the ride to explore this like haunted castle, basically. And she's okay most of the time. Gideon gets really snappy, hates being dragged along to the plot, is constantly trying to leave. And so she just trains a lot. She's a very strong character, I would say. She was fun to read. And her relationship with Harrow was a lot of fun to read. I liked how they contrasted against each other, because Harrow is very much like, we gotta solve this. I want to ascend into being a lictor, I think is how you say it, which is what they mean when they ascend. And so Harrow is another character who I really enjoyed. I basically just talked about why I liked her, is that she's the opposite of Gideon, and we watch their relationship grow into areas where you don't really expect it. I'm trying not to say any spoilers right now until the spoiler section of this video. Another character who I really liked was Kirana Beth. She was one of the fighters of a different house that Gideon meets. Everyone is part of a different house. Each planet has like a central family that rules over the entire planet. And so Kirana Beth is part of a different planet, and she is a very like badass warrior woman who Gideon kind of likes, maybe. I got the impression that we were gonna see them hook up, but that did not happen. So the pacing, actually, I have one more character I want to talk about. I'm looking at my notes here. Palamedes. He is like the butler who always tells our characters what's going on. He's the guy in House on Haunted Hill from like the 50s, where he's like, oh, there's a mystery, and like all this different stuff. And he introduces our characters to the mystery, tells them, you know, little hints along the way. And he was a lot of fun to read about. He was a different take on the butler character, which I like. So he has an interesting story arc. So the pacing in this book is pretty good. As you heard earlier, I finished it in basically 3 days. 3 days of reading it. And I could not stop reading it. Everything always led to something. It wasn't, you know, stop and go, stop and go. It was one full through line, which was nice. I really like books that don't stop the action. It keeps it going, and there's always a new revelation. So my overall reaction to this book is that I really like it. I don't love it. On Goodreads, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I don't think it's the best book, but I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read the sequel. So that's it for the non-spoiler section. Now we're going to go into the spoiler section. There's not too much I want to go into. There's 2 main things I want to talk about. The first one is Gideon's death. I did not see that coming. I didn't think she would survive the book, but I didn't know how she was going to die. I'm really happy that she got killed off before she overstayed her welcome. Her humor started to grate on me. It's very memey. There's a lot of like, oh, I noped out of that. Or, I'm trying to think. There's a lot of meme references in this book, which I appreciate. This is the first book I've read that actually had memes in it. And I thought it was going to be bad. It's a common criticism of this book. But I wasn't bothered too much by it. But she did not overstay her welcome. If she was the main character for the whole trilogy, there's one book yet to come out. I don't think I would have liked her towards the end. I think she would have really gone grating on me. So I was happy that she got a really fitting end. And I'm really curious what Harrow is going to be doing afterwards, because they really got close to each other and seemed to really love each other in a non-romantic way. So it'll be interesting to see how Harrow is going to interact with the Emperor and be his assistant, because we got a lot of small world building in this book. We didn't get like a full explanation of what's going on, because the Emperor is very vague. He shows up like the last 2 pages of the book. He's kind of like, hey, I'm training you guys for the big all-out war. You're the only one who is qualified, so would you like to join me? And she's like, yes. And the book ends, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is his plan? What's going on? He says that he can't even rival what's going on. And Harrow's like, aren't you God? And he's like, that's not enough. So I'm really interested to see how that relationship is, and whether Harrow will respect him more than Gideon was, because Gideon was a thorn in her side the entire book, until like the last 75%, or the last 25%, last quarter of the book is when Gideon kind of got more into Harrow's side. So that's it. That's really all I have to talk about. I'm really excited to read Harrow the Ninth is the name of the next book. And so, yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.